What's up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel, or welcome to my YouTube channel if you're new here. If this is your first time seeing my face on YouTube, I'm Barbara Ofili and I'm a final year medical student living in Nigeria. Today's video, I'm going to be recommending Nigerian medical textbooks, and I invited my classmates, distinction candidates, They will be taking the textbooks for each MBBS class. I'm not going to be involving first years in this video because they don't really take medical courses. By the way, I made a video of medical school program breakdown, so you can refer to that video. So I'm not going to involve first years in this video, so we'll start from second MBBS class to 5th MBBS class. So let's jump right into the video.
Hi, I'm Casey.
And I'm Bruce.
And we're going to be talking about important textbooks for your second MBBS exams, things that will guarantee short success. So I'm going to start with anatomy. As you know, anatomy is broken down into 3 major parts. You have your gross anatomy, you have your histology, you have your embryology. Now, these 3 courses are very important. So to get a basic understanding, we start with gross anatomy. Gross anatomy, like we know, is gross. So in gross anatomy, you have textbooks like Last Anatomy, you have your Keith Moore, and you have your Cheruzia. Now, please note, I don't even know the names of these textbooks because most times we refer to textbooks by their author names. So Last is the very, very small compressed version. Keith Moore is quite big, and then Cheruzia comes in volumes. Now, medical students normally debate which textbook is the best. I'll say it again, Last. So Last kind of gives you more reading time. Some people say it doesn't help with understanding, but then I read it and here I am in final year, wink wink. So Last Anatomy was really helpful. Then to understand gross anatomy, you need something that helps with visuals. So to help with visuals, you have textbooks like Frank Netter's, you have your Grant Atlas, and then there's a Lippincott's Atlas. Now, these textbooks also help kind of form like a baseline of what you're reading, kind of like directs you. So for, I started with Frank Netter's, was close to my exam, I used Grants, because Grants kind of like paints the whole picture. Like they're coming from different angles, it paints the whole picture. Now, for embryology, you have your Sadler's. Remember, author names. We have your Sadler, and then you have another one by Keith Moore. This one I actually know the name. The name of the textbook is Developing Human. Yes. So these textbooks also help in embryology. Most people read Sadler. Sadler's kind of like just, and the lecturers also recommend Sadler's as well. So you use Sadler's. Then for histology, what happened to me in histology?
Yeah, exactly.
When we started, everybody was carrying around their Withers. There's this text with Withers, she will leave the picture. Withers, histology. We started with it. I was confused. I was terribly confused.
Here I am.
Some people will tell you that, oh, okay, health. If I look at Vincent now, you say, oh. But then, Withers, I said with Withers, but then it didn't help me along the line. So there's another textbook, In the Versing was very busy, was gentle with my brain, pampered my understanding, and I kind of like got the whole idea of histology along.
Textbooks, I'm going to be talking about physiology and biochemistry. So physiology is divided into parts. We have the parts within our first semester, second semester, and the semester before the second MBBS. So basically, there are 3 textbooks I know for physiology. We have the Essentials, Azilo, and Guyton. So I want to talk about the 3 of them. I think Guyton is highfalutin, really. I think it's something for postgraduates. For your level, I think you should not use Guyton. Azilo just has some parts that are good for certain topics. But come on, Essentials is the best, if you ask me. Essentials comes down to your standard. Essentials breaks down things for you in ways that you're supposed to understand at your own level. Azilo for motor physiology, central physiology, and some parts of fluid and electrolyte balance. But you see general, respiratory, please, most of it, please go to your Essentials, please. For biochemistry. Okay. I won't really say. Okay.
Yes, there was still that.
Okay, there was Vasodevan. And there was this textbook. The name is just biochemistry by one Indian guy. I think it's Sardar. I cannot pronounce the name, but you will see it on this video.
Okay, I think it's anything apart from
so the good thing about the textbook was that it had questions before each topic. Yeah, it had questions before and after every topic, so you can evaluate yourself afterwards. And then I noticed that most of our organic chemistry came from that place. Now I'm talking to students in UNM. I don't know about other schools. I'm talking to students in UNM. If you are a UNM medical student, trust me, if you go through your lecture materials from beginning to end, like 3-4 times, you're going to pass the exam. You're good to go. There's a textbook for metabolism called MetaTech. It may not be the same for every school, but for UNN in particular, we have this textbook written by one of our professors, and it's very good. That's all you need for biochemistry. That's all you need for your metabolism.
Hello guys, I'm a final year medical student in the Nigerian Teaching Hospital, and I'm here to talk about the textbooks that are necessary for third MB class, that's fourth year in most medical schools. Third MB varies from school to school. So in a University of Nigeria, the time duration for third MB is basically 9 months. What is done in third MB is just pathology and pharmacology. Then pathology is divided into 4. You have the hematology, you have the microbiology, you have the chemical pathology, and you have the morbid anatomy, also called histopathology. Then you now have, okay, that's just the 4. Then pharmacology is on its own. Okay, so the hematology, the recommended textbook is Hofbrand Essential Hematology. I think it's a standard across all medical schools. I'm not sure, but most of my friends from other schools use Hofbrand, and we also use it. But then I personally, I read Robbins for hematology. There is a section in Robbins, hematopathology. The section is very good. It's organized into section: pathology for red blood cell, pathology for white blood cell, and all that. Then also you can also add a video pathoma to it. It's understanding to a great extent. So that is for hematology. So microbiology, there are plenty textbooks for microbiology. We have microbiology made ridiculously easy. It's simple and it's easy to cover. So if you get it, it's also very nice. But then the one I use is Langer Microbiology. It's colorful and it presents microbiology facts in a simple fashion, so I really enjoyed it. Chemical pathology, I think there is only one standard textbook for chemical pathology, that is Martin Cruz chemical pathology. So that's the one that is used, but then most schools use their lecturers' slides and materials. But then if you want to augment, Martin Cruz is a very good and nice textbook. For morbid anatomy, histopathology, that's the largest section of pathology. The recommended textbook is Robbins. Now, Robbins pathology has different. The one that is recommended for medical students is medium-sized Robbins. You have the large-sized Robbins. That one is for people that want to become pathologists. So, but if you want to just pass your third MD, I think this one is sufficient enough. Now, pharmacology has three prominent textbooks. The first one is Kazong, the second one is Sleeping Court, and the third one is Triparty. The textbooks, they are all good, but then in my center now that third MB class lasts for 9 months, you need speed. So the recommended textbook I would recommend to anybody is Sleeping Court. It gives the facts in a short and concise. It's concise and it's very clear to understand. Unlike Triparty is so large that you might not have that. You can understand it, but then it's just the time to finish up. Then also Kazong is a very nice book, but then the big Kazong is too much. So I think there is this Kazong that is abridged. The Kazong for board review is an abridged version of the large Kazong. So I used Sleeping Court and I used the Kazong, the abridged version, and it served me well. Finally, flipping courts, questions and answers, they are very, very important. It's structured in USMLE style, that when you read and go through the questions and augment it, it will help your study and it will help your understanding. I hope this helps you well, and I wish you good luck and great success as you engage the third MB class. Thank you very much.
Hello guys, my name is Obu Andrew Chukwemeka Oswald. So I'll be talking on textbook recommendations for 4th MBBS examination. So 4th MBBS have pediatrics and obstetrics and gynecology. So those are just the two courses for 4th MBBS. So for pediatrics, in my school, they will tell you that the pediatrics Bible is, there's this thick, big green textbook, commonly called Azubike. It's Pediatrics and Child Health in Tropical Region, and the authors were Azubike and Nkangi Neme. I mean, those are the editors. It had a lot of authors. It's like a joint Nigerian work with contributors from reputable institutions all over Nigeria. So if you check that book, you'll be surprised that maybe your favorite consultant was a contributor in that book. So I think that book cuts across many teaching hospitals in Nigeria, and that book is like the go-to textbook for pediatrics in Nigeria. But, I mean, there's a but. That textbook is very voluminous, it has a lot of explanation, and if you're the type that want to read their textbook back to back, you may have a hard time keeping up with Azubike. So that's just the downside to this Azubike textbook. But trust me, the textbook is very helpful. It contains almost everything you're going to look for in pediatrics. So that's just one. Then there is this other textbook, Nelson's textbook of pediatrics. That was like the second option to Nkangi Neme in pediatrics. So most of us used Nelson textbook, and I mean, amongst those that used it, we found it very helpful. But above all, we have, like, you know, handbooks, guides that really summarize the topics, and they were like the most student-friendly textbook, and that's what I'm going to really preach. So you could buy these standard textbooks for your references. You could buy them so that any topic you're finding quite difficult, you could go to them and, you know, do your extensive reading and research on those topics. But, you know, when you just want to recall what you know on a particular topic, when you just want to like go through a particular topic as quick as possible, then I would recommend, there are many small handbooks that are around. The only problem with those handbooks is that some of them don't have certain topics, and some of them are so summarized that you have to know what this topic is about initially. That shouldn't be your first read on any topic. So for the handbooks, we have the one by Adeleke. Adeleke is now like a common name among medical schools because they really have almost all the clinical courses, pediatrics, O&G, medicine. They have handbooks on it, so you could get Adeleke's handbook for pediatrics. Now this is mainly for like a theoretical aspect of pediatrics. So pediatrics, one of the things that makes it quite difficult is the clinical exam. So it's not enough to have what it takes to pass the clinical exam. I mean, you also have to be well grounded in the hands-on procedures and clinical aspects. So essential textbook for clinical guide in pediatrics by Kunle Obidike. Yes, that's one textbook that it explains the common procedures that are done in pediatrics. It helps you reconcile what you are taught in postings with what is on the textbook, and you're more able to like write a concise essay or concise paragraph on most of the clinical examinations that are done in pediatrics. There is also a pictorial exam guide by the same Kunle Obidike. So that one comes very handy when you talk about OSP examinations. The textbook that is commonly, you know, talked about for O&G in my training center is 10 teachers. In fact, if you come to the University of Nigeria, they tell you that 10 teachers is like the O and G Bible. There's this textbook of Pediatrics and Gynecology for medical students by Abola. Yeah, that's the name of the book. So that book also came very handy for O and G, but the problem is that in my setting it is not really readily available. Then for O and G clinical exam, there is this clinical exam textbook by one of our professors, Professor Iyoke. I can't remember the name of that book right now. I'm so sorry. I wish I could remember, but the name escapes me. But commonly it was known within my classmates as Iyoke's textbook. So that textbook helped answer most of our questions on procedures in O and G and instrumentations in O and G. So that was like my go-to textbook for clinical procedures for O and G. And then worth mentioning is also Adeleke. Adeleke was helpful. Then there's this other book, Our Teachers. Yes, Our Teachers is like, it came quite close to 10 teachers, but it had local authors, like authors within our environment wrote that book, and I think that book is very, very helpful.
Good day, everyone. I'm A.C. Harrison Chima, final year medical student of 22 class. And I know you've listened to my previous colleagues here. They've discussed about second MBBS, third MBBS, fourth MBBS. I'll be saying a little bit about fifth MBBS, it's family medicine textbook. In medicine, the most popular here in UNT is actually Davidson, Principles and Practices of Medicine. For Davidson, it's a very wonderful textbook. And I actually love the textbook. Though the textbook is kind of bulky, and then some people might get put off from reading it. Davidson is not a textbook that you go and then you want to read from cover to cover, like what you did back then in last anatomy. You remember my last, we all brag back then, okay, I finished my last back to back 3 times. No, you don't do this now with Davidson. Though the ideal thing is to finish Davidson, but due to our curriculum and so much study you have to do in your final MBA, if you want to be done with Davidson, you have to start, let's say, 3 or M1. You know that the way it works is you have to start your M3 or M1, M2, M3. By the time you are in M3, M4, you should have been done with Davidson. But when you are in M3, M4, which is your final year class, Davidson is not a textbook you start and then you are trying to go through over and over. No, it's just for referencing. Homer and Clark, it's a very wonderful textbook. It has 2 volumes though. It's a very wonderful textbook. Surprisingly, not many medical students actually use it. Homer and Clark is the textbook in which you can actually finish both level 1 and level 2 if you are very, very serious. These are your normal textbooks, your main textbooks for basically, let's say, the theoretical aspects, and then the more of your study material. But for your clinical skills, for you to hone your clinical skills, your clinical methods, you can't be reading Davidson or Common and Clark and then you can be able to make your diagnosis that way. No. The other textbooks, the Bible here in UNT is actually Hutchinson's clinical method. Hutchinson's go very detailed to explain the clinical methods, your clerking skills, examination skills, in all forms. Every clinical student should at least have your Hutchinson's. And then it's the book that you have to go through it. This is not like Davidson that, okay, you will be like, I can't finish this one. This textbook is too big. No. In Hutchinson's, you have to go through the textbook back to back, cover to cover. Another wonderful textbook is actually Fallacy, Clinical Methods. Fallacy. It's a very small book. We call it the pocket book for clinical methods here in the tropics. Fallacy came in and then he looked at Hutchinson and was like, Hutchinson is basically for the temperate region, for the west, for everywhere. But here in the tropics, there are some little tweaking, little changes that we see in the tropics. So Fallacy had to come in and had to how to give us how medicine is practiced here in the tropics. Some kind of disease, like let's say sickle cell anemia, is not very common outside abroad in the West, but it's very endemic here in the tropics. If you read about how to clear the examinations that you see in this kind of cases here, you won't get it very well in watching scenes, but you see it very wonderful here in fellowship. Finally, reading is very tasking. So I always recommend to all the viewers here today that in your studies, try and augment your studies with videos. Why? Because when you watch any video about any topic, it helps to reinforce your visual senses, your auditory senses, and then in that way you are learning in 3 different parts. And visuals and auditory learning actually goes back to our primitive brain, our primitive way of understanding things. And that is why, if you notice, the moment you watch a video about any topic and you are done with it, and you come back to read any topic about it, it flows easier. So I will always recommend it. Get videos. In medicine, medicine is kind of vast. I recommend Pathology. Pathology has videos, a lot of videos about it, and crash videos actually there. Even Kaplan, they're also wonderful ones. I always recommend these videos there. And then augment them with your studies. Thank you to our host, Barbara, because she thought it wise for us to come out here to talk to you guys, our junior colleagues coming up to these different levels. We never had this. Most times we are finding our part, we are the ones trying to create the part, and I can tell you that it's actually a very hectic task, going uphill without someone telling you what to do and what works in medicine.
Hi guys, my name is Jessica Ofeju, and you must have seen me once or twice or many more times on this YouTube channel. So now I've come to introduce myself so people know who this beauty is. And I'll be taking the textbooks, like recommending textbooks for 5th MBBS, that is for surgery. Okay, first of all, before I say anything, I want you to know that nothing takes the place of your lecturer's material and going for clinical postings, like going for clinical rotations, because you still learn a lot there, and you learn things that they'll probably set in your exams, things that are like peculiar to what, like to your own school. Do you get? And also it's also important to like take note of some textbooks that your lecturers say, because it might just be there that they're going to get their own materials and their own questions from. Okay, so for surgery, there's this, let me start with the clinical, like this, for the clinical aspects, there's this book that's called Norman Brown's, that's Browse's Introduction to Clinical Surgery. I think, I may not be getting the name right, but the important point is that it's Norman Brown's, like Browse's for clinical like skills. And it's a very nice textbook. The illustrations, the way they say everything is it's a very nice textbook. So I really like recommend anyone to get the book and read it up to really help you in examination of, like, you know, the way we examine lumps, the masses, your thyroid, your hernia, all of those stuff that we examine in surgery. So also there's this other, like, I would call it a handbook because it's kind of like concise and it's not detailed, and it has like a bit of the theory and clinical aspect. That's Ude Fiabong. Yeah, so that is it's written by like an indigenous author. Is that what it's called? Yeah, like, sorry, like, and also a Nigerian author, more like, because Browse is like a foreign book. So it's also really nice because it has like principles of surgery. It has like, it brings out things that let's say different surgical cases, things that you should know, like how to take a history, how to examine, things that you should ask. Also brings out, like, as I said, principles of surgery. So it's really nice. Like, if you just want to go and get the information straight, Ude Fiabong is a really nice book. And I think he has videos on YouTube. I've not watched it, but I saw my friend watching the other day, and I will check it out. And I think you should check it out too. So he has videos on YouTube that I think would be helpful. Okay, then for the theory aspect, the the one that everybody knows here is Bedo. Bedo, like it's called Baja's. Baja is actually the name, like Baja's surgery textbook. So this textbook is good though, but I have a problem with it. I do not think that their appendix is adequate enough personally, and then also the diagrams are a no-no. So if you're looking for maybe, because like now they can put like an x-ray or a CT scan diagram and you're not seeing anything because the textbook is in black and white, it's not colored. So literally everything is just blurred out. So it's not good for that. If you're looking for a textbook, I think you should go and look into, you should look at Bailey's, Bailey and Love's short, like practice of surgery. Yes, Bailey and Love has better illustrations, better diagrams. But if it's for diagrams, Baja, they didn't do well in that aspect, honestly. And then Baja has like volume 1 and volume 2. Volume 1 starts with like principles of surgery, the whole nutrition, wound healing, trauma, medical trauma. Then goes into, it also has, yes, it's also important because another thing I like about Baja is that it has the short postings. We call it short postings here because we do the clinical rotations for 3 weeks. So something like your otorhinolaryngology, that's ENT as it's popularly known, your ophthalmology, your anesthesiology, written like by African authors basically. And one good thing about textbook is that it really like plays emphasis, like you will see the tropical diseases, things that are common to us here, or like the foreign textbook Bailey, which most likely will not dwell on things that are like more important to us here. So
they've given you all you need to ace your exam. So right now you have no excuse. So I'm just going to chip in something. Most of these textbooks are good. Yeah. Just preference. Yeah. Personal preference. So I'll recommend, instead of having all of them hard copy, it's not even possible for you to have all of them hard copy. You have to have, it's very expensive. They are very big textbooks. Like,
bring a textbook in medical,
some are like
make a
18,000. Yeah, so it's wise for you to get a laptop or an iPad, a tablet. Yeah, sorry. This is the best financial decision you make for yourself as you're entering medical school. But most of these textbooks are very expensive. So instead of getting all of them, you can just get one that you think you use more often as hard copy and get other as soft copy. So you can be alternating, or you can even get all of them soft copy at first and use them. Then anyone you feel you prefer, you can now get that one hard copy. So yeah, that's it, guys. I hope this video helped you guys, especially those starting entering medical school. That's after your pre-med. So please don't forget to, as usual, the drill. Yeah, subscribe,
share, comment. You must blow.
Sip a lot of potion, made me like this, I don't know. Is it my emotions, got me feeling highs and lows. Took me time to focus, found my motion on the road. Highs and lows, and I was again up, now I know. Picking up dial tone, saying I was wrong. If I feel abducted, maybe she'll leave me alone. If I sip this poison, slide the beat and slide the water. Sipping toxic water with the shoulder, love the shoulder. Breaking down my feet and her walls kindly. She gon' pay the fee and smoke this.